welcome back to the channel. I am yours truly, and today we're going to look at Texas Tech and their 2023 schedule and predict some winners and losers from this schedule. Now, I know this is a bit out on left field, but I figured to try something new and spice up the content on the channel rather than talk about all the big brands on the channel. Now, to give a quick recap on how Texas Tech did last year, they went 8-5, including a bowl win over Ole Miss. They went 7-5 in the regular season, and a bowl win makes them 8-5. So, anyways, there's a ton of hype for this Texas Tech team, possibly them being a Big 12 contender this year, just like how TCU snuck up from nowhere and became the Big 12 or best Big 12 team. So, anyways, let's look at the Vegas Sportsbook odds for Texas Tech in 2023. As we take a look at the numbers set by the Vegas Sportsbooks, I like to look at these numbers as a general guide on what the betting public feels like a team is going to do. Meaning that these people are willing to put their money where their mouth is. So they kind of have a not necessarily educated guess, but they're willing to back up what they're saying. So anyways, the over-under win total for Texas Tech this year is at 7.5. What that means is if you feel confident that Texas Tech is going to go 8-4 or better, you bet the over. If you feel confident that they're going to go 7-5 or worse, you bet the under. So you do with that. Now, the odds are right there on the screen as far as national title odds. You can go ahead and put your money down if you're feeling really confident and really determined that Texas Tech is going to win the national title this year. Other than that, and other than me calling you delusional and crazy, you're just donating your money to the Las Vegas Casino Foundation. So, because the odds of Texas Tech winning a national title this year is at plus 20,000. Those are the same odds as if Mississippi State, Florida, Baylor, Minnesota, and Arkansas, Pittsburgh, and Louisville have. So you're all tied with those teams as far as the same amount of odds. And as far as me breaking it down, in case you want to, I'm not advising you or anything, but if you put 100 down saying that Texas Tech wins the national title, and for some by God reason they do win the national title, you'll win $20,000 off your bet. And then as far as the Big 12 title odds, they're at plus 1,200. Pretty simple. You put 100 saying Texas Tech wins Big 12, and if they win the Big 12, you get $1,200. Those are fourth best odds, right behind Texas, Oklahoma, and I believe Kansas State is the top three in that conference to win or with better odds to win the Big 12 this year. So anyways, let's look at the schedule for Texas Tech. As we take a look at the schedule for Texas Tech this year, the one thing that sticks out to me is that this schedule's one of the easier schedules I think in the Big 12. Unlike past years, going forward from this year on, the Big 12 is not going to do a round robin schedule because they added 4 new teams to the additional 10 they have now, making it 14 teams, and it'd be impossible to play 13 teams with the college football season as it is. So, all schedules are not created equally in the Big 12, and it's still going to be that way once Oklahoma and Texas leave next year, because you're going to have 12 teams then. So don't let it confuse you. Anyways, let's pick some winners and losers from Texas Tech. The first game on Texas Tech's schedule is a road game against Wyoming. I know this is a little bit weird, but they're going on the road to play Wyoming. And Wyoming is a decent Power 5 team, not great, but not terrible either. This could be a close game for Texas Tech. However, I do see Texas Tech winning this game against Wyoming. And then the next game after that is a home game with Oregon. To me, this feels like a weird game. Oregon's going to be coming to Texas Tech, and I think this is going to be a great game. I think this is one of these games that not too many people's talking about because you're going to have an offensive showdown between these two teams. Unfortunately for Texas Tech, I just think Oregon's a little bit too talented and too powerful right now for Texas Tech, and I think Texas Tech takes a loss to Oregon at home. The next game for Texas Tech is a home game with Tarleton State. It's going to be a blowout city win. I don't need to spend too much time on that game. Anyways, the next game after that is their Big 12 conference opener with a road game against West Virginia. And I'm just going to be honest, be real with everybody. I think West Virginia is going to probably be the worst team in the Big 12. I think it's going to be between them, Houston, and Iowa State mixed together to see who's going to be the worst of the Big 12 this year. I just do not have a lot of hope and optimism for West Virginia. It might quite not be a blowout city, but it's probably gonna be a convincing win against West Virginia. At this point, either Neil Brown will be fired or his seat's gonna be flaming hot. And speaking of Houston, the next game on Texas Tech's schedule is a home game against Houston, and I think Houston should have joined the Big 12 a year sooner. They should have joined last year with all the talent they had coming back last year. Unfortunately, Houston squandered that talent last year, and now all that talent is gone. So they're basically back at the bottom of the basement for 2023. And like West Virginia, I think Houston's going to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12 this year. So I'm going to say Texas Tech gets a win against Houston at home. And then they have their rivalry game against Baylor on the road. And this game, to me, feels like it's going to be a close game from opening kickoff to the final whistle. It's going to be back and forth. Last year, this was a pretty ugly game for Texas Tech. This feels like a 50-50 game, and I could easily see Baylor winning this one. However, I have a bit of a feeling that Texas Tech is going to pull out a win in Waco and beat Baylor. So give Texas Tech the win over Baylor. The next game for Texas Tech is a home game with Kansas State, and Kansas State is looking to defend the Big 12 title this year. Despite TCU going to the national championship this year, they did not win the Big 12 title. Kansas State did. Therefore, Kansas State is the Big 12 champion, technically, even though TCU had the better record, but they lost. Anyways, despite them losing Deuce Vaughn and Adrian Martinez, Kansas State is returning a lot of production. And I think this is going to be a type of game where Kansas State is going to come in, take care of business, and handle Texas Tech and give Texas Tech a loss here at home. And then the next game after that is a road trip to BYU. Now, this is the first year BYU is in the Big 12. And if there's any indication based off of prior years of BYU football, is that they're going to bring in a stout defense. They're going to be stingy on defense. Now, their big question is the offense. Will Keaton Slovis provide that spark to give BYU the next step to contend for Big 12 titles? I don't believe he's going to provide that spark. If we get freshman year Keaton Slovis, yes, they'll be contending for Big 12 titles, but I just don't see it happening, especially with the receivers BYU have. So I think Texas Tech is going to pull out a close one here on the road and BYU. And this 3-game stretch for Texas Tech, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose at least one of them between Baylor, Kansas State, and BYU because these are all good defenses in the Big 12. They get them all in a row, and two of these games are on the road too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Texas Tech loses two of the three here, if not all three. I don't know. But anyways, let's the next team on the list. Next game on Texas Tech's schedule is a home game with TCU. Now they get this game after our bye week by Texas Tech, and I think this is a good spot for their bye week. It's going to give them a break before they set up their final 4 game stretch, starting with TCU. Now TCU last year made the playoff, went to the national title. Nobody expected that. Nobody even expected TCU to be contending for the Big 12 title last year. Anyways, I don't expect TCU to live up to those expectations this year. And I think most people will expect that TCU is going to take a bit of a decline this year. I do think Texas Tech they'll take advantage of that bye week and beat TCU at home. So give Texas Tech a win in this game, and then the next game after that is a road trip to Kansas. Now Kansas last year had one of their best seasons in recent memory. They went 6-6 and made the bowl game. Unfortunately, they lost the bowl game, so they ended their season with a losing record. Although I do think Kansas is going to be decent this year, do I think they're going to be able to beat Texas Tech at home? Probably not. I think Texas Tech gets the win here against Kansas on the road for them. The next game on Texas Tech's schedule is a home game with UCF, and UCF of the 4 teams that's coming into the Big 12 this year, I believe UCF has the best chance, at least this year, to compete for the Big 12 title this year. Do I think they will? Probably not. I think UCF is going to need at least another year or two to be able to contend for the Big 12 title, and I think in this game, Texas Tech gets the win in a struggling fashion. I think UCF is going to make this game tough for Texas Tech, but I do think Texas Tech pulls this one out late. And then the last game on the schedule is a road trip to Texas to play the Texas Longhorns for the last time for the foreseeable future, as we see it. Last year, Texas Tech upsetted Texas at home in overtime. This year, they're gonna play them at Texas, and this is gonna be the last year for Texas being in the Big 12. And I think Texas Tech wants nothing more than to give Texas a loss on the way out the door. And I think Texas Tech is going to do that and pull off a big time upset and give Texas a loss here at home. And that wraps up the schedule prediction for Texas Tech in 2023. And as you see on the screen, I'm predicting they're going to go 10-2. Now, before people come at me with pitchforks and burn me at the stake, I am a bit higher on this Texas Tech team this year. I think if they play the cards right and if all the pieces fall in their direction, they're going to be a dark horse, near 6 bowl contender this year. I just think with all the talent they're getting back and the way the schedule lines up for Texas Tech this year, I can see it happening. I'm higher than some people are on Texas Tech this year. Now with the the ceiling for Texas Tech, I could see them going 11-1 because I wouldn't be surprised if Texas Tech beats Oregon in week 2 at home. Now I do not see them going 12-0 because of all the parity and pretty much all the teams being even. Well, I wouldn't say even, but there's not really a major blue blood outside of Oklahoma and Texas, in the Big 12, which they're leaving after this year anyway. So it's really going to be a rat race to see who wins the Big 12 each and every year. Um, Now with the floor for Texas Tech, this could be a 6-6 season. Like all these games could be determined within a touchdown. Not only they could lose those two games, they definitely could lose to Texas. They could lose to Baylor. They could lose to BYU, and they possibly could lose to UCF. That's the floor is kind of the worst case scenario. But anyways, if you enjoy the content, enjoy my ramblings, my reasonings, you know, I try to make these things entertaining for for some people, if not for everybody. If you enjoy the content, go ahead and give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I usually try to post content every day, but there's just sometimes where I'm gonna be honest with you. It's sometimes it's kind of hard to motivate myself to put out content each and every day, especially these schedule predictions as we go through each team by team. You know, we're starting to get into teams that they might not do so well, getting into some teams that are not so bigger brands in college football. Um, but I do appreciate everybody that comes by and watches the videos, watches the contents, giving the likes, subscribing to the channel. I mean, trust me, it goes a long way to gives me sort of feedback that you like watching the content and you want to see more of it, and it motivates me to keep putting out more and more content. So, don't worry, for a channel this size, your voice is being heard. Maybe not directly, but I'm getting the message. So, even for a channel this size, and I try to make content every day, but this is pretty much a passion project right now for me, because I love talking about college football and all it entails. So, anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.